watching the Bulldog Brewhouse podcast.
Hey folks, it's Steve Grover back for another episode of the Bulldog Brewhouse podcast. Hopefully everyone is doing well and staying safe. We're coming up to the Christmas season. Hopefully everyone stays safe and does a lot of Christmas shopping and maxes out your credit card for all those nice Christmas goodies we'll pass out to all your friends and family. And tonight we have a special guest. We have Patrick Lambie. Is that correct?
That is.
Like lamb?
Lamb with an IE on the end.
Yeah. IE, okay. So thanks for being on the episode of the podcast tonight. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good, thanks. Keeping busy?
I am keeping busy always.
Okay, so obviously I know who you are. A lot of people in the motorcycle community know who you are, but give us a little background for those viewers of ours that really don't know who Pat is.
Okay, so Inside Motorcycles, when I work there, I am a writer, a photographer. I'm the editor of the magazine, and I'm one of the main test riders.
Okay.
So that's the perk of the job. I get to ride all the cool bikes.
Okay.
I also work as a photographer for other magazines, such as Revolution Motorcycle. And then I also am part of the Hard Knocks team of instructors who run track days here in Calgary and at Area 27 in BC.
Okay, so are you originally from Alberta?
Saskatchewan.
Okay.
But we've been here for so long that we just say we're from Alberta.
Okay, and where are you from Saskatchewan originally?
Yorkton, Saskatchewan.
So where is that exactly?
Southeast corner of Saskatchewan, so about an hour and a bit away from Regina.
Okay, so you're a Rough Riders fan?
No, just can't bring myself to. We have lots of friends who are diehards, but so.
Okay. So you moved to Alberta,
Yep.
And then when did you get into riding? How old were you when you got started riding motorcycles?
In elementary school.
Okay.
So probably about 50 years ago. And then like most people, when you're doing school, university, then you get married, you'll end up taking this break from bikes.
Okay.
So then...
Well, it's more like when you don't have money anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And you're raising kids and you gotta, but so probably it was about 20 years ago I started riding again. And then I retired from my job at a relatively young age and just kind of fell into this gig.
Okay, so what was your job before retirement?
I worked in finance for a public company. So
so were you like Gordon Gekko at Wall Street?
No, nothing that exciting. No.
Okay.
Just
you weren't Bud Fox, the ambitious stockbroker, willing to do whatever he could to get
nothing like that. No.
Okay.
But anyway, so when I left there, I kind of just fell into. I always liked bikes. I was riding again by then.
Okay.
And was interested in photography, started fooling around at the track with the camera, and that's when we had Race City here.
Yeah.
And someone from the magazine called me and said, hey, could we use one of your photos? And it went from there where then they would call and say, hey, can you go to this event and give some pictures? And then they were, how do you like to try writing? And then it just kind of grew. And next thing I knew, I was the editor of a magazine.
So are you a self-educated photographer?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I did at one point actually do some courses, just thinking I would then have some credentials. But yeah, totally just learning by doing.
Okay, how old were you started doing photography?
About 43.
43?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you're a photographer, you're now editor of Inside Motorcycles, and I can just show everybody a copy of this is the September edition.
Yeah.
Volume 26, issue 02. $8 now, hey, for a magazine.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Okay. And then is that you on that sweet looking Kawasaki?
That is me on the Kawasaki.
So you really know how to ride, or is that a crop photo?
No, that is a real photo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And now this is a 2023 Kawasaki Ninja ZX4RR.
That's right.
So tell the viewers a little bit about this bike. What's so special about it? Because you look pretty cool on it, but it's only 400 cc. It's not a liter bike.
It's so Kawasaki really, in some ways, kind of broke the mold. And even though it's a 400, it's 4 cylinders.
Okay.
Which is really a throwback to when superbikes were almost being developed.
Mm-hmm.
There was lots of lower displacement, multi, 4-cylinder, even 6-cylinder bikes.
Mm-hmm.
It is a gorgeous. They've done a great job on it. It's a true sport bike.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you were to ride the Ninja 400, which is a parallel twin,
Mm-hmm.
you're sitting more upright. This has clip-ons
Okay.
and rear sets. It is made to take to the track.
So it's pretty aggressive.
It's you can wring its neck. Like I think it redlines at about 16,500 RPM.
Yeah.
In Canada, we've talked before. They've neutered it for North America, and apparently when you buy one, you can take it to probably not the dealer, but another shop, and they'll flash the ECU, and it brings it over 70 horsepower. It's light, handles like a dream. It's a cool track bike. There's different things. There's no engine braking because it's such a small engine.
Yeah.
So first couple times I came into a corner and rolled off, I kind of had to go, grab some brake.
Yeah.
But they've done a good job. I think there's a few more iterations to come, maybe some better suspension. But for a first shot at it, it's a great bike.
So it has ABS, right?
Yeah, it has ABS.
Is that traction control?
Yeah, it's got a good set of electronics. I mean, probably the suspension, the front is only adjustable for rebound. So
there's a whole article on this, and you rode the bike. Now, where did you ride the bike?
I rode it here, well, not here, but just north of town at the Rocky Mountain Motorsports track.
Okay, and that's in Carstairs.
Yep, just to a kilometer or two away from Carstairs,
Okay.
right off the highway.
So I got a question for you. You must be a magician because you're riding a bike and you're taking photos of yourself at the same time. How's that possible?
In this particular one, we had a net from AM to PM photography.
Okay.
Came out and,
Okay, it wasn't you, eh?
Yeah, no, so Annette's a lady in town here.
Okay.
And she does amazing photography. So whenever I am the tester and therefore the model of the riding shots, I'll get Annette to come out and do the shots.
Okay. So I'm looking at MSRP is about $10,999, so it's probably $12,000 out the door with fret, PDI, and tax. 15-liter, engine gas tank. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean it keeps the weight.
Yeah.
Once you start getting to 20 liters, that adds a lot of weight to them too.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you know the Triumph Bobber. When that first came out a couple of years ago, they had 9 liters on that.
Oh, really?
You could barely get to Bragg Creek on that thing.
There's a couple Harleys that they had done that with too, and it just doesn't work.
Okay, and then so obviously you test rode it.
Yep.
You rode a nice. It's called Daring to Dream Big. So did you write this article?
I did.
So why did you call it Daring to Dream Big?
Oh, that's one of the hardest parts of being the editor is coming up with the taglines.
Yeah.
Like every tagline, whether even on that one over there, the cover's Italian Temptation.
Yeah.
I'm the guy who comes up with those.
Okay, but let's get back to here. So why did you call this one Daring to Dream Big?
I don't know. It was kind of a play on words. It's a small engine, small displacement, but it's a big swing, if you will.
Okay.
Because no one else is offering this bike right now. Like if you want,
there's the Yamaha R3. What do you think? Have you ridden that
I've ridden
before?
the R3, but it's just a parallel twin.
Okay.
Like this is there's nothing that compares to this bike. Like everyone has a leader bike.
Yeah.
Everyone has a mid displacement. This is a unique bike, so it's a pretty big swing for the fence.
Yeah.
Very well received so far in the track day and the racing community.
Okay.
So yeah.
So I've read about this in I watched videos on YouTube about it. Read other articles apart from yours about it. So in Europe, it's 76 horsepower, but they detuned it in Canada and America to 48 or 43 horsepower. So why did they do that? Why did they cut it out by 30 horsepower?
I have asked Kawasaki Canada, and no one was willing or able to give an answer. Because Europe has probably the higher emission standards.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not about emissions.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's something to do with insurance. I inquired and was not able to get, a real answer as to why you would take what's kind of a pretty cool bike, and still is a cool bike, but really cutting the horsepower by, 30%.
Yeah.
Seems a little bit unusual given the intended use of the bike.
So you think they may have done it not to compete with the ZX6?
The 6, I don't know.
636 maybe?
Yeah, I'm not sure what the logic
Okay.
was, because the
Okay.
636 is pushing like 120 horsepower,
Yeah.
I think.
So still. Okay.
So it wouldn't be like that the two would be comparable even at 70, but
Okay.
I haven't ridden one that's been uncorked yet, so
Okay.
I hope to do that this year.
Okay, well, just to let you know, so let's look at your review. 2023 Kawasaki Ninja ZX4RR. So what does the RR stand for? Really radical?
Usually it depends on the company. Some it's ready to race.
Okay. So your pros are 400cc inline 4. That's a benefit of it.
Absolutely.
Okay. Top shelf super sport machine.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not a leader bike.
No.
So why did you rank it as a top shelf super sport machine when we all want the leader bike?
Well, leader bike would be a super bike, not a super
Okay.
sport. But
Okay.
it's for what it is, it's top shelf. I thought.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And cons are obviously there's always the bad, the good.
Yeah, gotta have the bad.
Yeah. You got to be an honest,
Mhm.
editor of a magazine to make sure you didn't get paid off by Cowie.
Absolutely.
Hey?
We're not
Okay.
influencers.
Yeah,
We're actually
okay.
it's supposed to be journalists.
Cons are engine is detuned for Canada, which we already talked
Yeah.
about, and you have no explanation from
No,
Kawasaki
I
on that.
could not get an answer.
And limited front fork adjustment, and I think you mentioned that
I
earlier.
did, yeah. It was someone who was going to be really serious and like want to race this
Mhm.
bike would probably get it uncorked, get it back to the right horsepower, and probably upgrade the front suspension.
Okay, and what kind of suspension would you upgrade it to?
Something that's fully adjustable.
Like a Showa?
Yeah, or a K-Tech
Yeah.
or whatever. There's lots of options.
Probably Ohlins is too expensive for this bike.
Yeah, Ohlins could. Sorry, I just spent a fortune on suspension for my KTM. So
Yeah.
there's
Wasn't that WP for
no
KTM?
WPs.
No, it's not good?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, just to let you know, I contacted my good friend Ron Newman at Blackfoot.
Okay.
And unfortunately, he called me and said, "Hey, Steve, I can get you one." Okay, so I ordered one.
Yeah.
But I did order a 2024 Kawasaki Ninja ZX4RR, the 40th edition of it. So I don't know if you've seen these new 40th edition Kawasaki's coming
I
out.
have, yes.
So mine is, I still don't have it. Okay, I put a deposit down. But mine's got that white kind of, if we're going back 40 years, we're going back to like 80s, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Kawasaki, that retro kind of white
it's
look
got
to
the
it.
white with the green.
Yeah. Okay.
It'll be gorgeous.
Okay, and then like obviously I've already thought of it. Once I take possession, I want to decork it, change the ECU on it, get up to 70, 80 horsepower, and then what would you recommend for the front fork? What would you put on there if it was your bike?
Honestly, if it was my bike, I would take it to Willie Vass.
Here in Calgary?
Vass Performing. He's in Didsbury.
Okay.
But he does like all the Canadian superbike guys. Ben Young, that's who does his suspension.
And then what would you recommend he put on there?
I would listen to him. Like with my bike, I take it to him and he kind of goes, okay, let's figure it out. And he'll tell you what components. But I mean, something like a K-Tech, even an Ohlins.
What's that going to set me back? Cause you got
a couple grand.
Okay, all right. Okay.
And that'll be like installed and adjusted. And,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting it. Hopefully I'll get it in February or March, and then maybe I'll see you out in the track in the new year. And so I know the track is new. It's in Carstairs. They've had their growing pains. Obviously, they still don't have a clubhouse. They don't have a garage. They're still trying to, do some paving. And how many times have you been out to the Carstairs track so far?
I would have to, let's see, 3 dozen.
So 36 times.
Yeah.
And what's your opinion of that track for Calgary?
It's a phenomenal track.
Mm-hmm.
The design is really good.
Yeah.
It is an intense track because there is no real major straightaway, especially for bikes, because for bikes they add in a chicane. So for bikes there's actually 18 corners. And there is no rest. Like you go to a track like Area 27 that has 2 half-mile straightaways. there's actually a moment where you can catch your breath.
Yeah.
This one, you are either accelerating hard or braking hard or turning. It's nonstop for 3.5 kilometers.
Okay, so before you get out here, you probably should go to the gym, do a lot of cardio,
Absolutely.
get your endurance up,
Yeah.
do light weights, high repetition.
Yeah.
Right? Play some video games so
Yeah.
your brain's always focused.
Yeah, but it's a beautiful track.
Yeah.
It's well built. I
Mhm.
mean, they're in their now second year, and
Mhm.
the pavement is pristine. There's
Yeah.
no heaving from
Yeah.
the frost or anything.
Yeah.
Very high tech. It's got
Mhm.
all the light panels around
Mhm.
it. You go in their control room, it's like nothing you've ever seen with all the screens. And so I really enjoy the track. I'm
Okay, so
very happy it's here.
So you're happy it's here.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you were around when they had Race City.
Yeah.
That sort of that's sort of what was not taken care of by the city at all.
Mhm.
I remember I was out there the last year with Too Cool doing their advanced course, and I was on the track, and I was going around potholes. I was going around broken tires. I didn't think it was very safe to ride a bike on that
Yeah.
kind of roadway. Hit a pothole, and then you go flying,
Mhm.
and you can break your collarbone. But this is a good addition for Calgary to have in southern Alberta, this track.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. And it's not only for motorcycles, it's also for cars, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's the majority of the time there is
Mhm.
probably cars.
Okay.
I know when we go out and there's members who are out there, there are some members who are
Mhm.
motorcyclists,
Mhm.
but predominantly the members are car guys. And
Okay.
then they also run, they have track days for cars.
Yeah.
And it's
Okay.
cool.
So is there any like ego bashing and the car guys hate the motorcycle guys and the motorcycles guys hate the car guys?
No, actually, because we did, Cardell Homes does
Mhm.
Ride of a Lifetime.
Yeah.
And we went out and helped with it, and I got to go for a ride with Ryan Oakey, who's one of the brothers.
Yeah.
And he's a serious driver, like with lots of championships
Mhm.
and stuff. And he took me for a ride in his McLaren around the
Mhm.
track, and we had a great time talking about the different lines.
Mhm.
And there was no ego bashing. Or
Okay.
anything.
All
It
right.
was great.
And so how did you land this role as being editor of Inside Motorcycles?
The previous editor quit
Okay.
with little or no notice. And
Okay.
the publisher called me and said, could I help out?
Mm-hmm.
Because I wasn't going to move to Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
So I went out. The idea was to do it temporarily, and I did a couple issues, and they
Mhm.
just said, keep doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, honestly, with COVID, working at home and working remotely became kind of the norm.
Mm-hmm.
So the magazine doesn't even have an office anymore.
Okay.
Everybody works remote. And,
Okay.
It works well.
Okay. And is it a lot of work running? I don't know. Like, when I think of editor, I think of Spider-Man. And remember, who was his editor of the Globe, Daily Globe or something? That he hated Peter Parker and all that
I
stuff.
forget something Grant or something.
Yeah, so are you that typical editor running around screaming at everybody,
No.
hating all your writers and
No.
photographers? No?
No, it is a lot of work.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you got to stay up to date on pretty much everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to decide well in advance what you want to run.
Yeah.
And then as it gets closer to an issue, you got to figure out what's going to be in that issue, what
Mhm.
it's going to cost.
Okay.
Then you got to work with the publisher, make sure they're happy.
Yeah.
Then at some point they tell you here's the ads that are running, then
Mhm.
you got to figure out, how it all lays out.
Yeah.
Because it's 72 pages.
Yeah.
So where do stories go? How does it all work?
Okay.
And that's before you've even written a word kind
Okay.
of thing,
Yeah.
or edited a piece.
So this is published 8 times a year?
Yep.
And so how much? So this is the September 1st, 2023 edition.
Yep.
How long would it take you to produce this? Just to give people an idea of how much work actually goes into producing.
From the moment that we kind of say this is what's going to be in it until it goes out,
Mhm.
6 to 8 weeks
Okay.
of kind of
And then
nonstop.
when would you start thinking of the lead story? A year ahead or in that 6 to 8
No,
weeks?
kind of that 6 months kind
Yeah.
of thing. And,
Okay.
sometimes things just come up.
Mm-hmm.
That bike as an example, I got to ride probably the first one in Canada.
Okay.
Just because for some reason they had it out west.
Mm-hmm.
And the people at Canadian Kawasaki called me up and said, do you want to test this? And I said, can I take it to the track? And they said, absolutely.
Okay.
So my wife and I jumped in the truck, went to Kamloops where it was, picked it up, and came back. So, I mean, this was sort of a last minute addition to, but you've got to be planning pretty much a whole year ahead on, what the it bikes are for the year.
Yeah.
Last year BMW came out with, the new M. So you kind of got to be planning for those. Suzuki had the 800V Strong. So you kind of have your it list, but then just opportunities come up. People call and say, hey, can you come to this press event? So all of a sudden you start juggling content and you fit it in.
Okay, so I mean, you've ridden a lot of bikes in your life. You've ridden leader bikes before, haven't you? So, like, honestly, I mean, and I'm getting older now. I'm hitting 50, and as you get older, you realize you don't need the big bikes and all that stuff. Is this a good enough bike, this 400RR for the track, just to get your skills going every weekend and just have fun and all that stuff?
It's a great bike for the track.
Yeah.
It's it doesn't mean that you won't get in trouble on it.
No, you can get in trouble on anything.
But it's it's not a leader bike where you can.
But do you really need a leader bike nowadays? Like, honestly, like, no. I mean, like there's these V4Rs coming out, and there's the S1000 double R competition edition, and that's $55,000. But honestly, if you're the average rider out there, even if you got a lot of experience, you're probably not going to use it. At least you're not going to get to 50% of the capacity of that bike anyways, right?
I think of all and I just people who I work with, I can probably count on one hand the people who, and I'm not on that list, people who would get the full of even out of this bike, out of the 400.
Yeah.
Somebody like Brent McCormick would push that bike to its absolute edge.
Okay.
But that's people at that skill level, I'm not going to get that bike anywhere near its, what its absolute maximum is.
So save your money. Don't get a leader bike. Go out and buy a 4RR if you can find one, though, because I heard they're very hard to find.
They're hard to find, and the people who have them love them. Yeah. So that's a testament. The fact that they're hard to find is a testament to how good they are. Yeah. But if you want a leader bike, buy a leader bike. It's just they're taking a leader bike to a track like Rocky Mountain Motorsports. This is funner. Taking a leader bike to Area 27 or something. This bike at Area 27, there's going to be a couple stretches where you're kind of just waiting to get to the end. Okay.
So you've done a couple tracks. Obviously, you've done the new Carstairs one in near Calgary, and you've done Area 27. Yeah. So what are the differences so viewers know? Like, okay, do I have to go to Osoyoos to have fun, or can I stay here in Southern Alberta?
They're two very different tracks. This one, like I said, is this intense track, very technical. Yeah. There's a couple riders who I know who are like Justin Napick from Edmonton, who's done all kinds of training in the States. He said this is like probably top 3 technical tracks he's ever ridden on. Okay. Area 27 is a bit more flowing. Yeah. It's longer. It's 5.5 kilometers, 5.6. Yeah. More sweeping. It still has tight corners and everything. Yeah. Like it's a fun track, but it's probably a track where you want to have a leader bike or a proper super sport kind of bike. So it's just different tracks. I mean, they're both gorgeous scenery. Even this track, although it's not finished, they've done a great job with it. Area 27, it's challenging. There's some really big blind corners, and there's a lot of corners, and it's also the first while I was always having to remember, is this the one that really goes left or just kinks a little bit kind of thing? They're both great tracks. I would recommend anytime you have an opportunity to ride either one, take advantage of it.
So is Area 27 more developed than Carstairs? Do they have a clubhouse
They
there?
sure do. Yep, they've got their clubhouse up.
Yeah.
They've not yet built their garages.
Okay. So people just roll in with their trailers, set up for the day.
Yep, and then roll out.
Roll out. Okay.
Yeah.
And what's the clubhouse like? Is it nice?
It's gorgeous.
Yeah?
It's really, really well done.
Okay.
They've done well. They've positioned it. When they designed it, they took advantage of the kind of the natural landscape. You know, and it's well positioned. You can see a lot of the track from it. So no, they've done a great job, and you know, hopefully they'll get around to doing the clubhouses.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, as I understand it, they're sold out on their memberships.
In Rocky Mountain?
No, at Area 27.
Area 27, yeah.
Yeah.
Rocky Mountain, they still have memberships
They
available.
still have a big billboard advertising them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Okay. But it's also a nice area to go to Soyuz. You can take the family out there, take your bike out there for a week, just do a couple track days, go hang out the Okanagan or Lake of Soyuz with your family. You can make a whole week trip.
Yeah, it's close to Penticton, because I've done that where my wife.
Well, it's plus wine country. Soyuz is famous for all the wineries and everything.
Great wineries.
Yeah, and there's a nice. I don't know if you know. There's that nice Hyatt hotel up there. It's on the reservation. It's quite nice, and they have these little. I just seen it because I was looking to go there. Like last summer, I never end up going, but they have a Hyatt hotel there.
Okay.
But they have these like little bungalows, and it's up on the hill, and it's in a winery area.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
No, the wine there is spectacular.
Okay.
We never go out there when we don't end up coming back with a couple cases of wine.
All right.
So,
and the weather's good too.
Yeah, well, that's why the track's there, because
Yeah.
it really is Canada's desert
kind
of thing.
Okay.
So,
yeah. And then this is the newest edition.
Yep.
And this is for November.
Yeah.
Just this month, even though like pretty much in 2 days we're going in December.
Yeah.
And then this one is 20. So you guys have been around for 25 years, eh?
Yep.
Okay, so 25th anniversary this year. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And then, so this is the Italian Temptation.
Yeah.
This is the Ducati Diablo V4.
Yep.
That's not you on the bike.
No,
though.
that's one of our riders in
Okay.
Toronto.
All right.
Yeah.
So again, this could take up to 6 months to get this whole magazine ready for this edition. Yeah. Okay. And you work closely with your advertisers, and you depend on them for finance, helping pay the bills and all that
Yeah, I
stuff.
mean, that is what pays the bills for magazines.
Okay.
Subscribers, I mean, we love our subscribers, but that's not what pays the bills.
Okay. How many subscribers do you have across Canada?
I don't know the number. I know we print 15,000 copies every issue.
Okay.
But I don't know how many of those go to subscribers versus how many go onto the shelf at Chapters and Shoppers and the Superstore and Walmart and all that.
So I need to ask you this question. I know, like you're still publishing this in like hardcover, okay? But is online magazine popular now? Because everyone's pretty much going online now.
Yep. The whole industry, including inside motorcycles, has been going through a transition because you count on advertisers to pay the bills.
Yeah.
But if you're an advertiser, the money you pay for an ad in the magazine, if you take that same money and optimize your search engine on Google, you'll get way bigger bang for your buck.
Okay.
I mean, that's just the continual advancements of the internet it's kind of like before, years ago, you're the right age, when you would go to Best Buy and there would be racks and racks of CDs and DVDs and everything.
I'm too young for that. So.
And, they're all gone now. And even, it used to be you would go to the airport and there would be like walls of magazines, and now you go and there's maybe one shelf.
Yeah.
So, the magazine industry, and we've started to more and more focus on the website and the online content, just because at some point it's going to be inevitable. Every motorcycle magazine in the U.S., with the exception of Road Racer, is done. Like, they're all websites now.
So can I ask you a question? So you charge $7.95 for this edition.
Yep.
So if you go online, can people just log onto the website and read all the articles?
Free. Yeah.
So how do you so you're not selling magazines by the magazine? You're more dependent on advertising?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. And
so you can still make it a go by just going online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a matter of, our readers, like when we do bike shows and stuff, people come up and they are thrilled that we still print the magazine.
Okay.
And, there will come a point possibly where we won't, because printing costs have gone up and up and up.
Yeah.
So it's a transition for the whole industry. Canada is different than the US because, and you'll notice somewhere in there's a little maple leaf saying funded in part by the federal government.
Yeah.
And that's why magazines still exist in Canada,
Okay.
quite honestly, in print form.
So Trudeau's okay with printing paper still?
I guess so.
Yeah. Okay. Other than getting rid of our plastic forks and our plastic straws.
Yeah. But yeah, so that is, I think, the magazine industry is going to continue to transition.
Yeah. Well, it's always nice to have something like hard and, right in your hand. And then, you can always keep these editions.
Absolutely.
Or you can just throw it out if you don't want to keep them, or just keep one around, or sometimes, but I'm just interested, like, when you go online, there's obviously not the publication cost of putting this together.
Yep.
There's not the distribution costs of getting them out to the magazine shops, but in the day you can still make money going online with the same advertisers and everything like that.
Yeah, I mean, so Cycle Canada went fully digital probably 5 years ago.
And how are they doing?
They're still putting out, issues.
Yeah.
I don't know at what frequency. I do know, ones like Motorcyclist and Cycle World and all those, they went to do a digital edition and pretty shortly after scrapped their digital editions and just went to a website. Because the beauty of a website is it's real time. You can you go and do, like we just had somebody at the new BMW GS launch. And even when I go to other press launches, there's very few magazines now.
Okay.
Everybody is from
online,
from a website. And they're not even that they're a digital magazine. They're from a website because, Mark, who's our off-road editor who did the GS test, he paid attention, and on average, of all the people who were at the press launch, their reviews were up within 3 days on the website. So if you're doing, whether you're doing in paper or you're doing a digital edition, a month's gone by before that review hits the schedule, versus if you put it on the website, it's up in 3 days. So everybody's already read that review from a whole bunch of other people. So by the time you're there, they're kind of going, yeah, I've already read that. And advertisers are not. They've got some pretty smart people working for them who can figure that out. So I think you'll see more and more the trend will be just a straight websites.
So you're familiar with Motorcycle News, MCN?
Yep.
Okay, that's the one I like to follow. I like they're all, it's an English, I think it's an English based, and they pretty much gone pretty much online 100% now, right? They have those reviews, you can watch them, and then they also have their website, and then you can click on, okay, I want to read the review about a Kawasaki 10XR, and then the whole page will come up right there. So I know what you're saying. Like if they go to ICMA in Milan in 2024 in November, they'll put the video up within the same day pretty much.
Yeah.
And they'll know exactly what are the bikes rather than waiting a whole month. Okay, well, we're in ICMA in December issue this. Well, by then everyone knows what bikes are out there anyways.
Yeah, and it's all, so that's kind of the reality of, and it's not just motorcycles, it's car magazines, it's any kind of publication that the world is changing.
So you think magazine racks will eventually be gone from Shoppers, Drug Mart, and Chapters and Indigo eventually?
I think they will.
Yeah?
I really,
what are you going to sell instead then, without all that open space?
I don't know.
More toothbrushes?
Best Buy figured out what to put in all that space where they used to have all
Well, what do they put? I haven't been to Best Buy in years. I go to Visions now because they get better deals.
I don't know. Now they got telephones and everything.
Yeah. Or they sell fridge.
They do. They sell appliances and everything. But I think I do, and I've been at different press events, where you're sitting with people from different magazines, and that's a pretty widely held view that the magazine industry, there'll always be magazines, because people want coffee table quality. Those are always, I think, going to be made. But I think as far as, even inside motorcycles, there's a finite lifespan on it as a magazine, because there's so much good content available online that at a certain point, when you're coming out, a month or 2 months after that press event, it's not relevant. If you go to Canadian Superbike, you can't run a story about this is what happened at Canadian Superbike, because everyone's, so we run more like the profile stories and stuff. But even that, people can get online now.
Okay,
so.
Cool. And then also to move into another direction, now you are part owner of Hard Knocks Track Days. So how did that happen?
Well, I was a customer of theirs for many years.
Okay.
I stopped, except for work, I don't ride on the street anymore.
No?
No.
Why not?
You
don't want to get T-boned by some guy running
don't want to get T-boned
by some guy running a red light.
Yeah,
F-150.
Just distracted driving, I think, has never been worse.
Yeah.
The condition of our roads here is, I hate to say it, it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
And I also found, I remember specifically, there was a day I was out with my buddies riding in Kananaskis, and we were all competent riders, but we were chasing each other along Highway 40, and I looked down, and I'll just say the speed began with a 2.
Okay.
And I got home and said to my wife, I need to stop riding. Because I'm either going to hurt myself, or worse, I'm going to hurt somebody else. And just because of me working with the magazine, she knew lots of the guys who were at the track, and she said, why don't you go and ride at the track?
Okay.
And that kind of started me. And once I did it, I was like, why in the world do I want to ride on the street? There's no one's dog running in front of you. There's everyone's going in the same direction.
Well, what about getting out there in the open road and just enjoying the weather and just you in the road and just the feeling of that? There's still that part of it. You know what I'm saying? There
is, and actually, I just did recently. Suzuki sent me the DR650. So it hasn't changed in like 20 years, but they said, can you take? And I said, sure, and I did. I had a blast. I had it for a week. And I did like all these back roads. Like I rode the Powder Face Trail through to Highway 40. Then I took the Sebald Trail or whatever. And, it's an amazing thing to get out and ride. And I would definitely have thought about maybe buying just a small kind of dual sport bike. But as far as getting on a big Harley or something and going, I'd rather get in the convertible at this point.
Okay.
I hate to say it, but...
So tell a little bit, I know what Hard Knocks is.
Yep.
Can you explain what Hard Knocks is all about?
Sure.
So people, there's some viewers that may not know what Hard Knocks is, so you could pick up some new clients for 2024.
Absolutely. So the gentleman and lady, there were 4 people who founded Hard Knocks, and their whole thing was to get people on the track.
Okay.
To introduce people to riding on the track and make sure that it's more than just racing. You can go and do a track day and never become a racer. So they started it here in Calgary when Race City was still existing. And then when Race City closed, they started going to Edmonton. And around the time they were in Edmonton was when I quit riding on the street, and I became one of their customers. And for several years would go up to there and go out to Area 27 when it opened, and and they've all become friends of mine. And over time period, a couple of the partners have left, and there was 2 of them remaining, and so they invited me to become one of their instructors.
Okay.
So our job is basically we're always on the track, and if you need help, we always show the novices around the track the first couple times. If you want someone to come out, because we divide people into groups, so we've got novice, intermediate, and expert. Doesn't matter what group you're in. If you say, hey, I haven't been to the track, can you show me around, or can can you follow me and give me some ideas on where I can improve?
Mm-hmm.
If you want to, say you're riding in novice and you want to go to intermediate,
Mm-hmm.
one of us needs to come out with you and
Mhm.
kind of, check you out, if you will.
Yeah.
And then the big part of our job, unfortunately, is when people fall down, which they do. We're first on scene to pick you up, make sure you're okay, get
Yeah.
your bike picked
Okay.
up, get you out of harm's way.
Yeah.
If it is a situation where more assistance is required, we kind of are, making sure that's happening.
Okay. So anyone who rides a bike can join Hard Knocks
Yeah.
track day. So what does a track day cost to go out? Say, for example, Rocky Mountain.
Yep.
When does the season start for you guys, and when does it
Yeah,
end?
first day at Rocky Mountain is May 24th.
And when does the season go to?
Basically the Thanksgiving weekend.
Okay.
We
and
ran,
what does a track day cost for you guys?
we do full days, which
Yeah.
are $370.
And what exactly does $370 get you?
Probably about 8 rotations, 20 minutes each on the track.
Okay.
Gets you lunch.
Yeah.
Gets you access to a group of instructors who are
Mhm.
going to make sure you're safe.
Yeah.
And some people will kind of go, oh my God, that's a lot of money.
Mhm.
If you're riding anywhere near your bike's potential on the street
Yeah.
and you get a ticket,
Yeah.
it's going to be one of
Yeah.
those, it'll be way more than $370. It's the safety factor.
Yeah.
There's so many younger guys who come out who are great riders.
Mm-hmm.
But you see them ride around town here, and
Mhm.
it is absolutely frightening.
Yeah.
Just again, when you get cars, you get guys going maybe close above their
Mhm.
limits, and it's
Yeah.
just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
so it's a safe place to ride. It's a chance to experience your bike
Yeah.
as it was built and intended to be,
Yeah.
and you improve. Even if you do one track day,
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee your riding skills will improve.
Get better.
Just because you're in a situation where you can actually experience it cornering,
Mm-hmm.
you can experience, braking hard. You don't get those opportunities on the street. And I
Yeah.
know the first couple times I would go to, I went to Shannonville
Yeah.
for the fast riding school. I remember coming back and going
Mhm.
for a ride, and there was oh my God, I'm seeing everything so much better. I'm
Yeah.
riding so much
Yeah.
better. So there's many factors. For me, I like speed.
Okay.
I don't.
Be like control speed. You don't want to kill anybody on the
Yeah,
roadway or kill
well,
yourself or anything
Exactly,
like that.
and it's a
So
Good
you
one.
have to provide your own bike, obviously.
you have to provide your own bike.
You have to have the leathers.
Depending when you're starting, if you're in the novice group,
Yeah.
you can also have a textile suit.
And what about pants? Can you wear the armored jeans?
No, you got to have textile
Okay,
pants, and
okay.
they do have to zip together
Yeah,
with the
okay.
jacket.
And then you got to have a helmet, obviously.
Yeah, got to have a
gloves,
full face
boots.
helmet.
Yeah.
No, none of the modular stuff.
Okay.
Got to have boots that are covering your ankles,
Mm-hmm.
and you got to have gauntlet gloves.
Okay.
There's no shorties, and that's just
Yeah.
I think if you picture wiping out
Mm-hmm.
when you're doing this, and you got
Yeah.
shorty
Oh, yeah,
gloves,
yeah,
then
yeah.
you're just gonna have road
Right.
rash.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's we have so many people come out who try it, and
Yeah.
we joke that we're drug dealers. We
Yeah.
just got to get you there one time,
Okay, you're
and
addicted.
you get hooked. And
Okay.
it's
So can you buy a membership, or is it just per drive?
it's just per thing. So
Okay.
we do like here in Calgary this year, we'll do 3 evenings,
Mm-hmm.
which are cheaper because it's an evening, so they're like $210.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll do 6 track days
Okay.
here.
And then you do Edmonton.
We don't do Edmonton,
No.
but we do go to BC.
Okay, so it's Calgary and Area 27.
Yeah.
And where else? Is that
That's
it?
right now.
Okay.
Those are the 2.
And then between the 2 locations, how many track days do you do in total for the whole season?
So right now we've got 9 here. We've got 3 confirmed at Area 27, and we're working with Area 27 to add at least 2 more.
Okay, so
this year.
so this past season, how many track days did you have in total in 2023?
10 plus 4. I think we had 14 this
Okay,
past
and
year.
how many were in BC?
4.
And 10 here?
Yeah.
Okay, and were you always sold out every track
No.
session?
No, especially Calgary has been there hasn't been a track here for 12
Yeah, yeah,
years. So
yeah.
a lot of guys who used to come to the track have moved on to other hobbies.
Mhm.
You know, they've taken up cycling or whatever. You know, they've sold their bike and bought a convertible. Or,
Yeah, yeah.
So it's a process of
Just educating
Yeah.
people, getting them out there.
yeah, and even
okay.
with, you know, the track, it's
Okay.
amazing how many people, you know, something will come up and they're like, there's a track,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, so it's.
Well, they're pretty, like, they're, I remember before COVID and before the shutdown, they're pretty active in having booths at the auto and truck show and the motorcycle show. So they were trying to get the word out there, correct? I think they went to dealers like the Porsche dealership and Mercedes dealership and had pamphlets there for people to buy. You know, the investment. It is quite a bit of money. It's about 40 grand to buy your membership.
Yeah.
I think it's about $3 to $4 grand a year just to keep your membership active every year.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's quite, you know, it's like, do I want to golf or do I want to run the track? You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like I don't golf.
Yeah.
I enjoy
Mm-hmm.
very much the track.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I enjoy not only the riding but the people you meet there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good environment. It's a fun environment to be involved with, and you know, it's a challenge. You get to up your skills and you get to learn new skills.
Okay.
You know, there's guys who. Like I mentioned, Brett McCormick, who is one of our riders. You know, and Brett used to race World Superbike. Brett will be the first one to tell you that when he goes, whether he's riding motocross or on a racetrack, he's learning every time, kind of thing. So you never stop improving your skill set.
Yeah.
And it's a great way to do that. And like I said, it's a great way to improve your riding. You know, we don't teach people to ride a motorcycle. We're not too cool.
Yeah.
You know, by the time you're showing up there, you know how to
You've
ride a
got
bike.
your Class 6, you've got a bike, you've got the gear and all that stuff. Okay.
But you know, we've had guys come out on you know, adventure bikes. It's you know, your bike has to be in good working order. You know, no leaks.
Do you check it out before? Do you check all the bikes out before? No.
No, it's a self-tech thing.
Okay, so it's not like you checking that people aren't using Gorilla tape on their bike to
No,
keep it
but
together?
we do, as they roll up to go on track the first time.
Okay.
You know, the people letting them on are paying attention.
So you wouldn't let a guy on the track with shorts and flip-flops on?
No, sir. No,
Even
no
if
gear.
he paid you the $370?
No, gear is a must.
What if his girlfriend show up with a thong on the back of the bike?
No,
There's no exceptions?
No.
Okay.
That's actually one of my biggest pet peeves when I see guys riding down Deerfoot Trail and they're wearing, you know, a jacket and gloves and jeans and boots.
And their
And
girlfriend's
they got
got
their
a
girlfriend
bikini.
on the short shorts, and I'm just going.
Or the
like,
thong on, or
Yeah,
the
and it's
bikini, and no flip-flops at all.
and it's like,
And they're going out to Lake Sukhumi.
yeah, and I'm just like, really? Like, it drives me nuts.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, gear at the Hard Knocks that's.
And you don't offer the gear. You have to
No.
have it and everything. Okay.
Yeah, it's hard just because of, you know, we've talked about that, but, you know.
Everybody
Everyone's
has different
sizes,
bodies. Yeah,
and, you know, so it's, you know, and you can get started for a pretty reasonable price. You don't need like the Day and Easy suit with the airbag and everything in it, you know.
Yeah.
You can, you know, for a reasonable price, you can hit up, you know, whether it's Barnes or Jack Carter, they'll get you set up.
Okay.
For
Alpine Star or something like that.
Yeah,
Or Johnny Rocket.
Yeah, Joe Rocket has
Rocket.
good stuff.
Yeah, okay.
There's lots of good opportunities.
Cool. And so I know we're coming up to the Christmas season. Any plans for Christmas holidays and New Year's for you and your family?
Have to see, because I'm in the middle of finishing up an issue of the magazine.
So what, January's edition?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I'm not next week, but the week after, I'm headed to Los Angeles for the week to ride a new bike from Royal Enfield.
Oh, which one's that?
It's this new bobber they've come out with.
Okay.
And I've done a couple of their launches this year, and they are really aggressive about North America.
Yeah.
You know, and when I've written about them, people are like, Royal Enfield, and it's like, you know.
Well, Calgary Cycle Works has got the dealership for Calgary, and Dave Anderson's up there. I don't know if you know him, the sales guy.
No.
Okay, yeah, I bought a bike off him here and there, a couple bikes actually. Yeah, I bought so Royal Enfield's got a big launch in LA.
Yeah.
And is that going to be like at Laguna Seca or no?
No, it's not on this bike. No, so this
was
is
a 400cc bike or something like that?
That's a 650, but this is this is their first global launch in North America since COVID finished. So
and what happened to Norton? Because Norton was pretty aggressive a year ago, bringing out. They had their new leader bike.
Yeah.
And then they have this naked bike of the leader bike, and it looks pretty sweet, but there's no dealer in Calgary for Norton, is there?
It seems like every time, no, there's not, and every time that somebody takes over one of these names, that's really all they're taking over.
Yeah.
They always kind of start with a big
splash,
and then they fade away, and Buell was the thing.
Well, that was the old Harley thing going around.
But then there was probably about 12 months ago, there was going to be like someone was bringing Buell back.
Yeah,
and
I don't think it ever happened.
No, it just kind of lots of, and I mean, they may put out some bikes, but
yes. you know the Nordens I'm talking about, their leader bike they brought up about a year ago, and then that what I like is actually I like their naked bike, the stripped down version of that leader bike. And it looks pretty good. The reviews weren't that great about the leader bike. They said for that kind of money, you're better off just buying a German or Italian bike and saving your money. Yep. Unless you want a collector's bike.
And that's, you mentioned to me before that you have a lot of bikes. And sometimes you buy them and then you sell them and make a bit of money.
Yeah, or just keep them around. And just have them as a novelty and then have your bikes that you can ride. I mean, there's a point where you buy a very expensive Ducati. But then you get timid on the road because if you drop it, like there's 10 or 12 grand in just damage.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's what I'm thinking about the benefit that even with the 4RR, I can track it, but I still at the same time can pop around the neighborhood.
Absolutely.
If I drop it, probably $500 to fix it or something like that, and I'm not going to be crying all the way home because at the end of the day, it's not a collector's bike. I mean, it could be a collector's bike because they're hard to get hold of, these 4RRs, but at the same time, it's a reasonable bike that you can drive, and, if you scratch it, big deal. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I do. I mean, there are guys come to the track with Honda RC51s, which to me is a collector's bike. And they're coming, and I'm going, what are you doing? Like, that should be like sitting in your living room kind of thing.
Yeah.
But, so that's...
All right. Okay. And then obviously you're into tracks, riding bikes. You're into photography. Is your photography just based around motorcycling, or do you do other nature photographs or any portraits or family kind of stuff?
The same publisher has a car magazine.
Okay. So what's the name of the car magazine?
It's Inside Track.
Okay.
Inside Track Motorsports News, and so I'm kind of their drag racing guy. So I photograph a lot of drag racing. But then
take any Hellcats out lately?
No. Although I saw that new truck. Well, it's not new, but
a TRX.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
That looks like fun.
Yeah, it's 702 horsepower.
Yeah, that looks neat. But so I do a lot of stuff with different car stuff. But then I, for fun, for personal time, my wife is a big outdoors person. Okay. So I do a lot of photography when we're out. Like we were in the mountains this weekend. And, and I do still, if people say, hey, can you come and do headshots or portraits, or I do that, but it's not it's more just where you do it for people it's almost like a favor kind of thing, as opposed to it's not a business. Okay, so you're not advertising yourself as a for hire photographer and let's do weddings and baby shots and bar mitzvahs and all that. No, you're not into that stuff? Someone asked me once about weddings, and I said that would be the most terrifying thing. Why? Well, because if you go, and I have gone and photographed, I've photographed MotoGP, and if you miss the shot, they're coming around again. They're coming around like 20 more times. Like a wedding, you got that one chance when they're, signing the book or kissing the first time. To me, it'd be terrifying. I would find that so stressful. Could not do it. Yeah. And obviously, is it a job of yours, photography, or is it just a hobby passion? It's a job as it relates to the magazine stuff. I mean, and the cars and all that stuff. Any favorite cars you have out there? Gosh, I'm kind of disappointed with cars right now. No? I haven't found anything like even. I'm starting to like the new Corvette. The C8. Yeah, it took me a while to get used to it. The first time I saw one, I was like, is that a Ferrari or is that a?
Yeah.
But I'm starting to.
But
like
then the
lines.
Z06 came out this summer, and then like in Toronto, like there's guys who want like 280,000 for this, and then you build it online, it's 170. Like, why would you pay 110 more?
Because you can't get it.
But who cares? I mean, but you're not gonna. It's an investment you'll never get your money back on. You know what I'm saying?
I think the whole car market is going to change pretty quickly.
Well, what I've noticed now is I've talked to some dealers in Alberta. They flooded the market. Like the C8s were held back, but now there's too many on the used car market.
Yep.
And I think probably by next summer you can probably pick up one for pretty cheap.
Yep.
Like, just a C8 or something like that.
I think it's a trend that's happening. I read somewhere, I can't remember where I read, but Harley Davidson's number one competitor right now is Harley Davidson.
Yeah.
Because there's so many used Harleys available. So if you're
Yeah.
going into Harley and looking for, the Street Glide special, and you go, no, it's,
Yeah, but then they
38
do. But then they do their specials. They have 0% financing for 6 months, and then you know what? You can pay it off for the next 10 years. And pay $30 a month, and then come back in a year, trade it, and move your equity into another, and then you're always indebted to Harley no matter what.
Yeah.
I mean, they do have their ways of getting you in there.
I do find, I think the interest rates are going to start to hit.
Well, I know, like I've heard that there's certain banks, I won't mention names, that they're pulling out of the car dealers because the risk. It's just there's 10 or 11% interest.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's sort of like almost. What was that movie when they shorted the home industry?
Oh yeah, I know the one you mean.
Well, now I've heard they're shorting the car loan industry because
Yeah.
they're expecting it to collapse pretty soon because interest rates have gone through the roof, and a lot of people are just going to bring their cars back, and then. Whoever's investing against who's shorting off the car loan and the banks on that industry will make a ton of money in a couple of years. That's what I've heard.
Well,
recently.
They have done. I know they've done the same thing. Like, because with mortgages, they were bundling them up in mortgage-backed securities.
Yeah.
They've done the same thing with car loans.
Yeah.
So it becomes a nightmare. So, but I just think people are now having to renew their mortgages, and they're kind of going, maybe the Harley will have to wait, or maybe So I think there's going to be, and now there's inventory.
Yeah.
You drive by. I live near in the south, and you go by Jack Carter, and a year ago they were trying to park cars creatively to make it look like they had inventory.
Yeah.
Now they can't shoehorn another vehicle onto that lot.
Well, the funniest thing about it is before the C8 came out, the new Corvette C8, I don't know if you remember the C7s, they're giving those away. 84 months financing, 0% financing for 84 months. Just, why would you, if it's an $80,000 Corvette, just finance it for 84 months, keep your money in the bank. I mean, they're just pretty much giving those C7s away at the last minute. I remember because Jack Carter, they had a ton of them off Douglasdale, just in the lot. They sold them all, but like, why would you pay $80,000 cash? Just finance it for 84 months at 0%. And have fun for like 7 or 8 years running around the Corvette in the summertime.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Anything else you want to chat about? Or, I think we covered everything. Inside motorcycles, track days, who you are. So now people know outside the little closed environment of, the motorcycle community in Alberta, who you are. Obviously, you're not looking for photography business. You're not looking to do weddings and bar mitzvahs and Santa Claus pictures.
I'm good.
Okay, so you're good.
But please look us up. Look up Hard Knocks Track Days.
Okay. So if you want to have fun, give Hard Knocks Tracks Days a call.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sign up for one of their track days. Obviously, we got this magazine in our office. It's a great magazine. I endorse it, so go get your subscription for Inside Motorcycles, and hopefully Grover Law Firm will have an ad in there.
Yes.
Maybe even the podcast. I'll convince the boys, Winston and Roosevelt, to put their money into your magazine to run a half-page ad so everyone can learn about their podcasts out there.
That would be great.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for showing up.
No problem.
It was a pleasure talking to you. I hope you had a good time.
I had a great time.
I wish you and your family all the best in the holiday season coming up.
Yeah, same to you.
Hopefully you had a good Black Friday.
I did.
Did you max out your credit card?
No, but there was a few things we needed.
Did you get any Stampede riding going on at Chinook Center or at Walmart on the weekend?
No. We were out of town.
Okay.
It was
Okay.
like we were kind of going, oh God.
All right, but no big plans to go off to Banff or Hawaii for the holiday season coming up?
No, we've
Okay.
got a 4-year-old grandson.
All right.
So
Okay,
staying
you spend
home
some
would be
good family time together.
Yeah,
Have some
and-
turkey dinner and
Yeah.
cranberry sauce and pumpkin pie.
Yeah, and you the same?
Yeah, pretty much.
Good.
Stay at home and have the big Christmas dinner and just relax over 7 or 10 days.
Good
Yeah.
for you.
And then I'll probably see you at the. I assume you're going to be at the motorcycle show.
We'll be at the motorcycle.
Yeah, we got a
shows.
booth there. We're going to
Yeah.
have a podcast booth there. OBB's going to be there.
Nice.
And then we'll look forward to seeing you there in February, and we'll chat further then, okay?
Absolutely.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for showing up. And everybody, that's another episode of the Bulldog Brewhouse podcast. Hopefully you enjoyed this session, and check out Inside Motorcycles, and hopefully you'll become a subscriber to this great magazine. And it's always been a nice read every time I get their magazine. So hopefully everyone has a good holiday season. Stay safe, and we'll check you out next time. Thank you. Cheers.